Good morning. Hello, everyone. Let's make sure. Yep, it looks like my sound is working. Let's make sure. Uh, yesterday was quite the day. Yeah, we're just getting back into the groove of it, and those kind of things happen. So, welcome. Hello. Good morning. How is everyone? Today is January 21st, 2025. My name is Celeste Souter, and this is Rise and Shine with Celeste. Welcome. It's good to be back. I've had some not issues. I'm not gonna call them issues, but I kind of forgot. I forgot there was quite a bit. I feel like I was doing my stuff, living life, and I had gotten into a routine, and then I got out of it, and now here we are. So let me make sure. Yesterday was quite okay. So I love how Facebook just loves to grab the craziest thumbnail possible for all of this. Let me make sure that I am live, and I'm going to comment, make sure I see comments. Hello. Say hi as you are popping on so I can see you. All right. Let's see. Maybe. Hello. Um, there it is. Okay, awesome. This is good. All right. So I had there was a lot that I actually God was showing me this morning. I took time to listen to a book this morning as I was getting ready, and I what else did I do? I've been listening to worship music and all the things, and here we are. And there was one phrase that I heard in my spirit this morning, and I think I've been oh, honestly, it's hard to talk about this a lot because people think that you're coming into agreement with, or um I'm feeling defeated about this. But the thing is and I talk about it quite a bit, it's not that it's my identity, it's that I recognize that this was something that I struggled with for all my life, and the ADHD and stuff like that explained it. And so it allows me to actually learn to love myself in a way that I wasn't able to in the past. I would shame myself for not being able to function in a way. As you're popping on, say hello. And so I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but let's get into it. Um let's see what God does, because he was showing me some really cool things that, because my brain works this way, I'm able to actually take what let's get into it. Let's pray, and then let's get into it, because it was quite cool how he was showing me, but it has everything to do with my ADHD and the thing that comes along with that, which is executive function disorder. Everybody has executive function disorder sometimes. It's actually a human condition. Not everybody lives with it, though. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them that lives with it. And it's okay. It's okay that I do that. I'm not, I'm not the only one. And I love that people are talking about it more and more, and that we're recognizing it. Do you know the average age? And then I really am going to get into the prayer. Did you know the average age of women, females, being diagnosed with this neural condition is 37? I thought I was late diagnosed. I wasn't. I was right on time. So, anyways, and we'll talk more and more as the days go on about like my memoir and how that's going. And it's called I'm Here But I'm Late, and I'm really excited about that. And I really feel that it's going to. I'm really praying that me telling my story is going to change people's lives. And I know that I've already seen some fruit in that by going live and stuff like that. But um, y'all think I'm vulnerable and open now. Just you wait. Just wait and see. As you're popping on, please say hello. Good morning, Mary. You have my heart. I love you, Mary. So me and Mary have never even met. We got kind of introduced, not kind of, we got introduced in 2020. I'm pretty sure that God introduced us. He likes his daughters to know each other, and Mary's been she's been a bright spot in this whole social media thing. So, amen. All right, I'll keep sharing. Thanks for the encouragement. Okay, so let's get into it. Lord, thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for kingdom connections and familial connections, Lord. Thank you for connecting your daughters and your sons and giving us family. Even when family kind of hurts, I thank you for that. There's a lot of learning lessons in walking this road together. In Psalms 139, I hear, no, that's 32. Hold on. let me grab my trusty. Oh gosh, I just lost a paperclip. All right. Lord, thank you. In Psalm 139, this prayer has changed my life, Lord, and I thank you for that. I thank you for diverting my eyes off of self and putting them right on you, even when I was so conditioned to get myself in order. You say I don't have to, that you've got this. I just have to trust. So, God, I invite your searching gaze into my heart. Examine me through and through, find out everything that may be hidden within me. Put me to the test and sift through all my anxious cares. See if there's any path of pain I'm walking on, and lead me back to your glorious everlasting ways, the path that brings me back to you. I offer myself, and I encourage those who are watching, listening, hearing this to I offer myself as a living sacrifice, and I encourage those listening to do the same. And your will, not mine, be done. Your will, not ours, be done. Your will, not mine, be done. Let me be like putty in your hands, where obedience, surrender, and submission are acts of worship and done out of love and not out of religious obligation. Good morning. In Jesus' name, amen. Good morning, Melissa. I've missed you. I've missed y'all. And I will tell you too that I missed God in all of this too. It wasn't that he forsake me. It wasn't that he even went quiet. It's that I did. And I don't even remember. It's happened in my journals. You can see the shift in where I quit talking to him. And I'm not quite in the pouring out. Let me just show y'all the difference. Okay. So this was my journal from last June. And you can see I was even writing in the like margins. Okay. And it's quite filled up. You can see all the purple, and then about, let's see, October is when everything kind of shifted for me. And it just got kind of, there was a few in there, but it got really few and far between. So this is from October to December, and all of that was from June to October. And I just quit talking to him. And I will tell you, my journal doesn't look anything like it did in June yet. It doesn't even really look like October yet, but it's getting there. There's ink on the page. Y'all ever had those moments? I don't know if everybody's journaling, I will say that I encourage you to journal. get your thoughts out. It's if you can't speak them out. I do a little bit of both, obviously. I get on here, but writing and speaking is my form of worship, and that's what that he showed me that last year. Um, not everybody's worship looks the same. I actually saw this reel. Uh, was it yesterday? Or the day before? It was a woman. She was just standing like on a step ladder, painting like a window. The oh gosh, what is that called? The stuff around the window frame. She was just painting a window frame, and on there it just had a like a Christian song. I don't remember what worship song it was, and it just had the words, you know, you don't have to stand on stage to worship. This is worship too. And it's true. It's so true. And I don't have to press live to worship him, but it is part of what he's called me to do. What's he called you to do? Do you have a similar calling? A lot of the women that find me do. And I want to talk about that today. That's what I want to talk about. So I started this live just kind of really talking about, you know, some people think that by me addressing and talking about ADHD and things like that, that I've come into agreement with this like horrible diagnosis and that I've made it my identity and things like that. And here's the thing is that just perhaps it just explains a little bit more of who I am and who he made me to be than what the world had said to begin with. And so it gives me reference, not only to get to know myself and my brain and my way of thinking, but also to allow myself to have compassion for the things that I struggle with. And a lot of that is in my thought life, the way I perceive the world, things like that. And that diagnosis that I got actually has spurred me into this amazing world of breaking things down in a way that I can understand and I can ask for accommodation in that. Does that make sense? Like my daughter, my youngest daughter, she's a senior in high school. She was just, good morning, Andrea. She was just diagnosed also last year with ADHD. She's also on the spectrum. I'm not going to say that I'm not either, but it's easier at 18 to have that type of, and it's hard even then, but at 18, they're understanding. Both my daughters actually are on the spectrum. They just look differently because it's a spectrum. And but with Emma, we never. I remember thinking that there was something like autism. There was autism, something there in pre-K because of her emotional outbursts. And I'm not saying that all kids with emotional outbursts. Anyways, it doesn't matter. And I was kind of like, well, not kind of. I was invalidated in my thoughts around that when she was aged 4. And it's amazing. I look back at it and I'm like, I wonder what kind of accommodations and things like she could have received if they had taken that seriously. Even in 2010, they weren't doing that. They were not taking it seriously, but here we are in 2025, we're understanding it. And we're also all adults able to use our words to verbally share and things like that, what we experienced as a child, so that there's kind of a baseline that we can help our children with, right? Well, God was showing me that kind of this morning. And let me, I'm going to digress just a little bit, and I'm going to talk about Emma and the accommodations. So she was diagnosed with ADHD. Since then, she's been working with like a therapist and stuff like that. And the therapist is like, yeah, you got some autism in there, and that's okay too. Like, it just means that there's, the neurotypical way, and that's altruistic, I think is how you say it, altruistic way of thinking. And then there's the autistic way of thinking. And we just experience the world differently than this neurotypical, which I don't understand neurotypical because I've never experienced life that way. I tried to. Um, so, anyways, Emma has accommodations now, and she was asking for accommodations for the ACT test. She tried to do it on her own. She's taken it already. She tried to do it on her own, and she was like, "I could do better, but I need the accommodations." And I'd say all of this to say that same, same friend. Um, I need some accommodations, but we all do in the way of if like in the learning and the applying and the doing. And so this is the phrase that I heard this morning, and I didn't write it down on here. Let me grab it real quick. This is the phrase I heard this morning when I was really thinking about business and how it was amazing to me. Y'all, I had like um a revelation yesterday as soon as I got off like live and I started kind of trying to like walk back into that workflow of what I do with these lives, which is podcast and other things, okay? And that was the exact reason why I didn't start, well, whatever. I started the Soul Sister Accelerator. I was prompted and I was receiving like, questions, and people wanted to start working with me because they were seeing me showing up online, and they're like, "What are you doing and how are you doing it?" And so I took what I was already doing and I put it in a program. Well, I kind of had forgotten all of that. And I started all of this by saying, I was talking about the way my brain works and executive function disorder and all these things. And I'm not giving myself an excuse. I'm giving myself room to be accommodated by myself, by others, by systems, things like that, putting stuff in place. Um, and so the phrase that God gave me this morning, because I had this revelation yesterday after I got off my live, is that I had forgotten. I had forgotten why I started the Soul Sister Accelerator in the first place. I was struggling to get it going again last week. Just ask anyone that was on those coaching calls. I was like, I don't even know what we're doing. Thanks for showing up. Let's see. And it was really confusing. And then yesterday it all clicked, and it was because I pressed live. And I'm not saying everybody is called to press live. Some people are called to write. Some people are called to, there's so many different callings. I'm not even going to name all of it. And so I want you to understand that because I'm called to press live, or I'm called to write, or I'm whatever, does not mean that you are, but there is a way you were created to worship. What way was that? And you don't have to answer me. And if you don't know, ask God. For real, just ask him out and ask him out loud. How was I made to worship? Because it's not just about standing on stage with a mic and singing your heart out. It's not even about sitting in the pews, raising your hands and singing your heart out. What costs you? What is that sacrifice? Because I guarantee you, this was even like, let's call it season 2, year 2 of this, is a sacrifice for me. It is. So what part of you, what part of you produces the oil when you're pressed? And are you feeling that pressure? And if you can like just step on the other side of it, just step on the other side of it. I'm telling you, oh my gosh. How are you created to worship? And it's true, Mary. Yes. Autistic people do. They love deeper, they give more of themselves, and they are very genuine. Well, and I would say, yes, we are very genuine. We're also very honest. And sometimes we're wrong about our honesty because we see the world differently. But we all get to experience life, and it's fun. And it's fun to have different, perspectives. So this is what he told me. It's not about starting from nothing, Celeste. It's not about starting from nothing. It's about taking what is already in motion, what you already have, and repurposing it. Okay. So, I'm kind of blending, and that's okay because this is me, y'all. If you want to look at me as the brand or whatever, I talk to a lot of people about, social media branding, and I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Social media branding and whatnot, and this is my brand, and it has a lot of different moving parts, but the actual brand of it, like it, y'all, it started long ago, but it really accelerated when I finally just did what he told me to do. And that was to start a podcast. But I didn't realize by just giving him my yes for 100 days last year that all of that would come of that. And if you look in scripture, it is time and time again where he shows us that we don't have to recreate. We don't have to create. We are creative, and we can partner with him, but we don't have to start from the very beginning. And I think a lot of us get in that rut of when we're feeling that pressure, or when we're feeling the pressure, when we hear him, but we don't know how. So therefore, then we don't do it. And it gets really, really hard to feel that pressure of, y'all know what I'm talking about, that calling. You'll know, right? We see it time and time again when he absolutely will take the little sacrifice. He'll take the little sacrifice and he will absolutely blow your mind with it. We look at it from there's the woman with the oil in 2 Kings 4:1-7, and I don't know, I don't have 2 Kings on or in the Passion. Let's see if it's in the Passion. I didn't get to read it, so let's see. Are y'all getting something out of this today? Let me know. Let's see. All right, so we're looking at how he takes our little and he just absolutely expands it. And I had gotten into this rut trying to start the Soul Sister Accelerator again, and I had gone back to the beginning. All of this makes sense, I hope, for y'all, because see, for me, if I go back to the beginning, because that's what I do, I forget what I was doing because I wasn't doing it, and then I feel like I have to start over and recreate everything from scratch again. But that's not it. And that wasn't how the Soul Sister Accelerator was born anyways. It was born out of the things I was already doing. See, it started with the action. It started with taking the steps of faith. It started with the leap. It started with pushing forth, breaking through that barrier. And what I've learned in doing all of that, for one thing, and I've talked about this, but I feel like I need to say it again. I was taught that the fear of overwhelm, the fear of just being overwhelmed, was God telling you not to do something. That's what I was taught. Because, see, the fear of overwhelm dysregulated me and the people around me. because we go back to that spectrum. It's a nervous system thing. We experience the world differently, and it's through feelings. So if your nervous system is already dysregulated because that's just the way your brain works, the fear of overwhelm would keep you and stop you dead in your tracks from pushing forth, because you're going to find overwhelm on the other side of it. Instead of that, we're called to learn resilience. And that's the act of pushing forth and allowing God to lead us each step, not having to have all the answers, not having to know exactly, right? So when I'm talking to my clients and stuff, so last week I'm like, how do we produce like a year's worth of whatever, content with these subjects that we want to talk about and things like that. And then yesterday, well, Sunday, God really got hold of me through my own words, through my own podcast from last year. And then he's like, start again. And so I started, and I mean, instantly, it was like, oh yeah, I had forgotten why I was doing this in the first place. But he can still use it. And he does it time and time again in scripture. So in 2 Kings, it is, we're talking about the woman with the oil. Hold on, let's see if it is in the Passion Translation. Nope, it's not. Okay. So I'm just going to read the little bit that I have on here. What is going on? So it's in 2 Kings. It starts at verse 4. It's chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. But in the passage, this is just the second. Elisha said, "What do you have in your house?" "Your servant has nothing there at all," she said, "except a small jar of oil, olive oil." She's like, "I don't have anything. I have a small jar of olive oil." And what did he do? Well, let's see. Let's read. NIV, maybe. All right. Well, I don't know if that is. All right. So Elisha provides olive oil for a widow. And this isn't just like God, just like, from heaven and like zaps the jar and the oil just appears. No, this is a man of God working with God. He partnered with God. So there's a lot of different things here, but yet it all goes in with what God was showing me. We don't have to start from nothing. We do not have to create anything. All we have to do is partner with him, and he will put it in motion. What action is he asking you to take? And what fear are you allowing to take that from you? Don't allow that. Partner with God. Push past that barrier. The wife of a man from the group of prophets cried out to Elisha. She said, "My husband is dead. You know how much how much respect he had for the Lord, but he owed money to someone, and now that person is coming to take my 2 boys away. They will become his slaves." Elisha replied to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" She's like, "I don't have anything." "What are you talking about?" "I don't have anything there at all," she said. All I have is a small jar of olive oil." Could you imagine somebody ask you that? "What do you have in your house?" And you're like, "I got 2 pennies, And Elisha said, "Go around to all your neighbors, ask them for empty jars, just empty jars. Get as many as you can. Then go inside your house, shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars. As each jar is filled, put it over to one side." Do y'all hear this? Do you hear this? She says, "Oh, please help me." And I can just imagine she's like, "Oh my goodness. Like, you are going to make me go get empty jars, pour what I do have in these jars," which these jars will probably absorb if we're like really thinking about this stuff, right? Like, there's not going to be any oil left. But yet he says, go take action. Pour out what you already have. Do y'all see this? This takes faith. This takes actions. This takes steps. It takes faith. It takes actions. It takes steps. Go around to all your neighbors. Ask them for empty jars. Get as many as you can. She's like, oh, okay, let's do this. And I can guarantee you, she was under so much pressure. She was like, I have nothing left to lose. Have you ever been there? I can guarantee you, when I pressed live on January 8th, 2024, I had nothing left to lose, I thought. And on January 20th, 2025, I had even more poured out, but he had blessed the little that I'd given him in 2024. Do y'all see this? It takes action. She had nothing left to lose. Then the woman left him. Then she shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her and she kept pouring. I can just imagine the angst, the weeping, the just absolute unhidden emotion of this woman. Can you? These people are real. Andrea says, I'm there now. Wow. These people are real with real emotions. She didn't just shut the door and be like, meh, and started pouring. Y'all, she's about to lose her son. She's lost her husband. All she has is olive oil. And this prophet says, get empty jars and pour what you do have out. And she has nothing left to lose. So she's like, okay, you want this too, God? And it took action and it took steps. It took faith. It took losing anything. Like it took the act of pushing through, nothing left to lose. It took the act of surrendering the need to control the situation because she had nothing left to lose. They brought the jars to her and she kept pouring. And when all the jars were full, she spoke to one of her sons. She said, bring me another jar. But he replied, there aren't any more left. Then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God about it, and he said, go and sell the oil. Pay what you owe, and you and your sons can live on what is left. Y'all, does that not give you goosebumps? That's so good. God is so good. God is so good. Do you hear this? He tells me today, you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to go back to the beginning. You don't have to create something out of nothing. What do you have that you can give me? I can and will repurpose it and multiply it. For me, the act of worship is my voice, my story. It's getting up and doing this. It's putting my thoughts not just out onto the interwebs here, but it's also writing them down. Not everybody is called to speaking and writing. There was a season in my life I was called to be a mother, and that was my sacrifice. It wasn't just be a mother, okay? It was sacrifice my pride and bring my kids home to homeschool them. And that was my sacrifice at the time. And I can guarantee you, y'all, God is good. Because in my yes of that, there was so much healing of my family. So much years and years of survival. And all of a sudden we are in this space where we just lived. And it was a really great place to be. And I mourned. I mean, y'all, talking about the woman just boohooing, pouring out this oil. I mourned when that season ended. But if that season hadn't ended, I wouldn't be in the season I am now. You don't have to create from nothing. What do you have that you can give him? What's in your house? What's in your house, in your body, in you? What is it that he's trying to birth out of you? What has he already birthed out of you that you can give to him again? Because that was what I had to do again. I had redrawn, like I had drawn in again, like I had quit talking. And see, I heal out loud. I verbally process. I write it out, and I quit talking to him. And here I am. And I'm going to tell you, it was pressing live. It was in the pressing live. It was in the action. It was in the little sacrifice that he required of me last year that he asked me to do again. It was in the little sacrifice that everything came back to me. And I'm telling you, he's already multiplied it. Less than 24 hours later, I had that call with my clients, with my whatever, my friends, like where it's a community. I had a call with the community yesterday at noon. It was 7 a.m. when I pressed live, and I guarantee you I have the things that I was struggling with last week came in less than an hour live. I'm called to content. I'm called to use my voice. I'm called to social media. I'm called to help others repurpose and reuse and multiply their stuff. I'm called to that. And I had quit doing the action of my own branding, which was what my first calling is, right? Not necessarily like my first calling is my, God and my family. But when you talk about the other, right? The bigger picture calling, it is this. And I'd quit doing it, but I'd quit showing up for myself, and I'd quit talking to him. And it was in the action. She had nothing left to lose. Let's go back to 2 Kings. She had nothing left to lose. I had nothing left to lose again. When I pressed live yesterday, nothing. And everything to gain. And God's like, I will multiply this. What is he calling you to? Because see, if you're feeling the fear of overwhelm, that's not God's voice. That's fear. That's fear. It just is. And we do not have the spirit of fear. We have a sound mind, y'all. We have the power. We have love and a sound mind. We don't let fear steal your blessing. Don't let fear take away the act of worship from you or sacrifice. There's so much on the other side of it. We see it even in the story of the feeding the 5,000 too in John 6. Y'all, what did he have? Hold on. He had 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. And Jesus is like, bet I got this. And it was just in the boy offering his small lunch. Let's go there for a second. Let's just go there and just put ourselves in that story. The boy probably wasn't the only one that had a small meal with them. I'm betting. I'm guessing this. There was 5,000 people. There was a granola bar in the place. You know what I mean? There was some goldfish in a little Ziploc bag. There was something in that crowd of 5,000. Am I right? Mamas? But it was in the faith of a little boy. And it was in not just the faith of a little boy, but there was no holding back for him. He didn't overthink it. He just heard and did, right? And I think there's so much to be said in that childlike faith because it's absolutely shown in this story too. But we don't have to be a small boy. We don't have to be a young person to have that type of faith. We're called to have childlike faith, but it's in that right there that we don't overthink. We just do. If we hear big imagination stuff, we get on board with it. We get excited about it. We want to partner with God with it. But as an adult, we want to be like, but how? Instead of asking how, and I loved this. I heard this from Catherine Lee when we were there in November. Don't ask how. Switch those letters around. Ask who. It's not on you. It's his. It's his responsibility, the outcome. What's on you is the sacrifice. It's the yes. It's the obedience. And if I've said it once, I have said it multiple thousands of times. Obedience equals blessings. And it's not just blessings as finances. It's not just blessings for you. Your obedience is tied to someone else's blessing too. But I guarantee you, I experienced a blessing the past me gave me on Sunday. I listened to a podcast from last year and it brought the remembrance back to me of who he called me to be, and I wasn't being her. I wasn't, and it's not up to me to bend my will into being that person. It's up to me to sacrifice the need to stay hidden, because that was what I was doing. I was trying to control my surroundings. I was trying to protect my heart. I was trying to do all the things because I got hurt. And I was relying on old, like, safety mechanisms. And God's like, I didn't call you to that. You don't have to do that, Celeste. You are safe. I've got you. But you've got to keep on moving. You have to keep on doing the things, the blessings on the other side of it. I have good things for you. Okay. I feel good. This is great. I love God and I love you. What's in your house? What's in your house? Go back to 2 Kings. Elisha wasn't like, let's take an offering up for this poor widow. He taught her faith in that moment, because I can guarantee you she was searching all around for all those ways, right? How can I make this work? How can I keep my sons? How can I make money? All these things. And Elisha's like, what do you got? She's like, are you kidding me? You want something from me? I'm coming begging. And I can imagine she was like, I put my pride aside. I am open and telling you this. And you ask me what I have? He's like, yeah, I asked you. Go gather some empty jars and you pour that little bit of olive oil that you have out. And not only was she able to pay off the debt, she kept her sons, and they had enough to live on. The oil paid for all of it. Okay? What are some small jars of oil or your small snack that you brought to a big gathering? What's the baggie of goldfish in your life? We've all been there, right? What are the things you've overlooked but could repurpose for God's kingdom? I always knew I was going to tell my story. I always knew that I would write it. I always thought that I was introverted. And I always thought that nobody could care about nobody wanted to hear my voice. It took pressing to get me to the point where I started talking. It took a lot of pressure. It didn't take as much this time for me to start talking again. What are some small jars of oil or barley loaves in your life that you've overlooked but could repurpose for God's kingdom? You think He doesn't care about those little things, but He does. And you think that you have to figure it all out, and then He can multiply it. You're like, I'm going to go over here, God, and I need you to bless that. And He's like, I really want you to stay here and can I just have that thing that you don't think anybody wants? Let me bless that. I'm not joking when I say this. I'm not being dramatic. I really didn't think anybody ever wanted to hear my voice. And it's the very thing that He's taking and multiplying. Okay. If you have a similar calling, reach out. Let me help you. You don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to start from scratch. What's your small oil? What do you have in your house? And are you feeling the pressure? Because I understand. All right. Let me remind you who my Jesus is. He's yours too. Hold on. I don't remember how to do this. How do I do this? Ah, there it is. All right. Here we go. Ah, He's beautiful. And He delights in you. He absolutely, positively delights in you. And can you imagine? Oh my gosh, y'all. The look of joy on His face when that little boy came up to Him and said, this is all I've got, but you can have it. They can have it. And the little boy didn't think twice about it. He just heard it in his spirit and he gave it. And look what happened next. An entire crowd was fed and nourished and loved on. And the look on Jesus' face, I can imagine, was just pure joy. What kind of blessing came from that in that boy's life? What do you have in your house? What do you have in your, and yeah, it just is what is your small jar of oil? What are your 5 small barley loaves? You think He doesn't want them, but I can guarantee you if He's calling you to it, it's not even Him sometimes. You think nobody else wants it. That's why we do this for an audience of one, y'all. In Psalm 32, 8 and 9, I hear the Lord saying, I will stay close to you, instructing and guiding you along the pathway for your life. I will advise you along the way and lead you forth with my eyes as your guide. Don't make it difficult. Don't be stubborn when I take you where you've not been before. Don't make me tug you and pull you along. Just come with me. I love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow.